Good morning, everybody. We're here today with Cody Davis. We're talking about how to build liquidity when you don't have a job. Cody, how you doing today?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Oh man, excellent. Last week took a week off. I was on my annual golf trip to the Midwest, so we're back on it this week. Looking forward to connecting, learning, and sharing with the group here.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's good to see you. I know people miss you when you're not here. People do like this call, and it usually does pretty well. We usually get over 100 views. So
That's
I'm glad to
good.
have you back. And today we're talking about getting liquidity, which for those who are new to the business space, and having excess cash just sitting around. How do you do that without having a W-2? How do you do that without having a job? You are in a position where you don't have an income anymore yet. If you want to go buy stuff, you need liquidity. So,
Right.
what is the first thing that comes to mind?
The first thing that comes to mind is on the borrowing side. There's really two ways. There's either you're borrowing it from an asset that you have or a person, or you're generating liquidity through some sort of active type of income. And so I know when I first left the W-2 world, where I started getting some liquidity to buy stuff was borrowing money from people, buying deals that way. So that was like the first way I was doing it. And then the second way I was doing it was then as I started generating more money from the agent side, that was generating liquidity. And then as I progressed a little bit further, I was repositioning assets as though I'd sell some assets that would generate liquidity as well.
Okay. So, for someone who doesn't have those things, that maybe doesn't have the assets right now, what would be the very first thing you'd say, "Hey, let's focus on this."
If you don't have the assets right now, you either need to become great at something, provide value to somebody, or provide deals to somebody. Those two types of things are how you can generate liquidity. So if you're providing the deal to somebody, for example, if you're like a wholesaler, you could bring a deal to somebody, end up getting paid a fee for that, or you could get paid in terms of you could be a percentage owner of that deal. Those That'd be an example. Otherwise, another one would be is that if you're good at something, whatever your kind of talent is, it could be literally just driving for Uber if you wanted to drive, or help out somebody around elderly people. Any sort of trade that you have, you can start hiring yourself out for it.
Love it. And on that note of using your skills, something I haven't really seen people do, I haven't seen other people do it. This is something that I've done myself. But I basically play like matchmaker, right? As a salesperson or someone that wants to financially win, a lot of people that financially win are salespeople. You play
Mhm.
matchmaker. You connect people that have something that someone else wants, and you say, "Hey, do the trade." Something that I've done in the past is I've played matchmaker where I help find something of value for someone else. And it's not like I'm doing it as a real estate agent. I'm doing it as a friend. And what
Mhm.
ends up happening is like, "Hey, I'm going to help you out, but if I ever really need it, will you lend me money to do X, Y, and Z?" You talked about the debt side earlier, right? So I'm
Right.
going to be really good at one thing or two things, provide value to people. And in exchange, I built this relationship with them over time, and they end up actually funding my deals as a debt person, a debt partner. They lend me
Mhm.
the money, and that generates liquidity. And
Exactly.
that gets me on the asset ladder, right? So if you're in a position where you don't have assets, that could be a great way to do it. Another option, this is something that I did once you figure out how to borrow that money and you get into the asset ladder, or maybe you have a little bit of money right now, but you're going to spend it and now you're out of your liquidity. Did I ever tell? I told you about the 12 plex where I raised the rent before I did anything.
No, I remember the 12-plex, but I don't remember before you actually bought it.
Well, I raised the rent on it before I did any work to the property. And so
Oh,
I went to all the tenants and I said, "Hey, I'm gonna raise the rent $200 and it's gonna allow me to do all the fixes I need to do. So it's gonna be a little ugly right now, but after it's done, I'm gonna be able to do all the stuff you want." And we put together a list. And so I did those rent bumps, and what ended up happening is I ripped $320,000 out of the property, of which I used, that's a lot of liquidity. I used to then fix the building and buy more assets.
mm,
And for those who aren't tracking, it's a building I bought for 680 with 100% debt, borrowed down payment, seller finance for the big portion of the money. And I got a loan on it for about 1 million. And so ripped out a bunch of money, and that allowed me to do all the fixes and the upgrades. So I was able to get liquidity before having money, because I didn't start with any money. So one thing you could do is try and find an asset that is truly just under rented, $200, $300, $400. There are assets that are under rented $500 a unit. Maybe they're just not highest and best use. Go to the tenants, work out a deal, and then take it to a bank, show the new NOI, get a cash out refi, and use that newfound liquidity to make your building really nice.
I love it. And then how long, just in that specific example, did that take 3 months, 6 months, 1 month from you acquired the property, seller finance, you had the seller carry, but and then you brought money down from another person. You raised the rents, then you went back to a bank and said, "Hey, now look at the NOI's increased," and you got a new loan out. What was the start and the stop? How long did that take?
Well, it was in phases because, again, a big part of my story, I didn't qualify for bank financing for years, right? So it wasn't just that cut and dry. I had to go to really expensive money. So this was like hard money, second
Oh,
mortgages, double digit interest rates. But I was able to prove value based on the new NOI. And they basically loaded it up with debt in second position. They paid off the original second mortgage that I borrowed for the down payment, and then gave me more cash out in excess of what I owed. And then I basically did a rate and term refi later with the bank. So I believe I did my first cash out refi at like a year and maybe a year and a half
mm-hmm.
into it through the hard money. And then it was probably another year after that I did my first bank loan. Because that checks out because that would have been around the 4 year mark into my journey.
Nice. Yeah. When you were talking about deal matchmaker, there's actually a guy that follows this and sometimes drops his name in the chat there. He did something very similar. So I'm in Yakima and he lives south of Yakima and was talking to a seller and the deal just didn't work right now because he's got another project going on. So he connected me with the seller. And so if I end up buying this deal, I'm going to give him like a finder's fee out of it. I've been talking now to the seller. Geez, it's probably been maybe a month right now. So if you don't have the liquidity, but you know of potential deals out there, if you can match it up to the right person, whether that's in this scenario, I said I'd pay him a fee. I don't know what the number is yet, but I'd be willing to pay a dollar amount for that, finding that deal. Alternatively, he's trying to do some flips. I potentially could lend him some money on future flips as well. So he's doing exactly what you described, is that his money's tied up in one thing. And by matching up an opportunity with somebody who's looking for that opportunity, it's going to generate either liquidity for him or an opportunity for future liquidity.
Now, here's a question because you start building a business relationship with this individual over time. And
Yeah.
I'm no attorney, so I don't know the logistics. Like this would have to be a Q&A with a lawyer, but would you rather pay them a fee of 20,000 or lend them their first down payment at like a nominal rate of 3% for 50,000? What would you rather do personally? Because I feel like they both move that relationship forward,
Uh-huh.
but I believe the more you do, the more it enables you to do. And so it's like you wouldn't be paying for it, you'd be lending it, but you'd be getting a nominal rate on more money, but you get that money back, and then now they have more money because they can go find more deals. Like, what are your
I mean,
thoughts?
there's something to think about is when you lend the money, um, it's a relationship long term, right? Because it could be 3 months, it could be a year, whatever the terms are. So if you want to continue that relationship long term, I would lend the money, or if I'm on the other side, I would borrow the money because that build it more long term relationship. If you're wanting to be, some I don't know about you, but sometimes like when I'm dealing with friends, I just want to pay them back right away so I don't have to owe them money. So some people are like that and would want to just pay, hey, here's the dollar amount, and then it feels like okay, we're even now.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'd way much rather borrow 50 than earn 20.
Mhm. Right. Because you can borrow the 50 and generate more value out of that probably than getting the 20.
Yeah, it's tax favored wealth. Like it's a very tax efficient way. If some people are gonna be like, that's stupid, but taxes are way cheaper, or taxes are way more expensive than interest rates.
Mhm.
I don't know if there's
Exactly.
ever been interest rates higher than tax rates can be. I don't know. I'm not that old. I'm not that studied. So
Is the question is interest rates ever greater than the tax rate? Is that what the question was?
yeah, like have they ever been higher
Uh,
than the tax rate for a high income individual? I don't know that they have.
I don't think so. I mean, because interest rates, the highest I want to say was like in the 80s, and I want to say it was around 18 or something percent. We'd have to go to a chart, but I don't think ever the highest income tax bracket's been below 20%. I doubt it. So it seems like it would be a death spiral though if you had that much interest rate, but it would be different than we're used to, that's for sure.
So that would be my take. Some people want to earn as much as they can. I want to borrow reasonably and intelligently. I want to borrow as much as I can.
I was just looking at
Also,
the chat here. We had California Wine Guide checking in. We have Flavio checking in. Looks like Flavio's working on a 16 unit. So it's taking forever. I'm not sure if that is the acquisition or fixing it up to get refinanced out of it.
one other thing that I'm doing to generate liquidity right now. Yeah, I'm hoping he gets it under contract though, the 16 unit. That would be good. Um, Something I'm doing to generate liquidity. You know the Ellensburg deal I bought?
Yeah.
So the laundry room is not part of the lease. It's not a guaranteed amenity, and it's
Hmm.
not a paid for amenity by them. So we're actually going to be shutting that down, which might rock the boat a little bit, whatever. But we're shutting that down and we're offering in-unit washer dryer installs
Hmm.
for $125 a month. At which point we'll also convert the laundry room into another unit because it already has a bathroom.
Hmm.
And it's got, of course, has the power for a stove, right? Because it's got dryers in there.
Right.
So that's exciting. Uh, but that's one way we're going to generate liquidity. We did the math with our lender. After these bumps, based on what we're doing at the property right now, we're going to be able to get a loan between 4.8 and $5 million, and we bought it for 4.5 a month
And
ago.
so 300 is that 300K cash out? Is that what you're saying?
Essentially, yeah, it'll be like 150 to 300 net of fees, depending on where the final loan comes out.
Hmm.
But all the proceeds will be used to buy out the capital partners that funded the deal, and then we'll just own an asset with an infinite return.
I love it.
And you know, it's a That's a 41 or yeah, 41 unit deal, soon to be 42 unit deal. And the rent roll on it when we're done should be about 660,000 a year.
Nice, man. Love it.
So, it's a big enough asset to merit owning for right now. And nothing invested.
The beauty of that is, because a washer and dryer unit is fairly inexpensive. To install that, what do you think? $2,000 between buying I'm assuming like a stackable, and then having somebody install it, maybe 2,000.
Well, so no, it's gonna be more than that. And here's why. There's no hookups.
So you got to put power there, and power and
All,
water, so you cut through the
also,
drywall.
kind of also no. So after doing some research with local owners, I ran that problem by them. And my buddy, he's a soap lake investor. He sold me my very first building. And I've just kept in touch over the last 7 years. So he's like, well, I live in Germany half the year, and we have these washer dryer two-in-ones that are ventless, and they're 110.
Oh, well,
And I was like, do they work? It's like, they work great. Sometimes you have to do half cycle to dry it a little bit more, but it's not that bad. And for what you're getting, it's a great deal. And so I found them, and after my Home Depot discount, it's like 2,300 bucks. It'll be 2,700 with the 5 year warranty,
yeah.
and then I'll get some other discounts here and there for buying in bulk. But moving the water line is going to cost 500 bucks, so I'm in it around 3 grand, and we're good. So like for 3 grand a unit, boost the NOI 1,200 because we're going to get 1,500 of new income, but there will be added utility costs. There will be added water costs from everybody doing this. So we only net like $100. And then you factor in some vacancy and stuff. But it'll be about 1,200 bucks of new NOI per unit on soon to be 42 units. We'll do it on 41 for now. And so that's like 50 grand a year.
Yeah. And there's like small puts and takes there, right? Because the laundry room today, I'm assuming that's shared water and electric. So you are paying for that. But when you
Hmm.
move that to the room, to each of the units, they're paying the electricity for the unit. So that's a net positive.
Right.
But is the water, you're paying the water?
We do rubs
Yeah. Okay. So if
already.
you're doing rubs, then that's even better. So you're moving all the old water and utility from the shared common area, splitting it out to all the other units. So now you're increasing the rent because now you can put a unit there. Then you're increasing the rent from all the units by putting the washer and dryer in. And then you're lowering your costs on the utilities from taking it from you to spread it out. So there's like multiple increases in income and decreases in expenses.
Well, and the other thing is one way to, I mean, on the liquidity note, right? You just want to boost NOI with assets. When we pull that money out, now we have nothing in it. All that cash flow, since we have no investment, like we don't have to pay ourselves a return. All that free cash flow is just going to get stacked in an account and build its own liquidity. Like you start stacking infinite return deals, and you just have pools of liquidity that can start to grow. But
Exactly.
we'll use some of the reserves that we have now because we have a little bit of extra cash, and then once we close down the washer dryer room, we'll put in. It'll likely be a 1 bedroom. It might have to be a studio. We're gonna see. But if we can generate another $1,000 a month
Hmm.
globally, that will reduce the expense ratio because we'll have this newfound 12 grand a year of income without a huge spike in insurance, taxes, utilities, maintenance. Like it's not going to be a whole bunch of brand new expenses. So globally, that rate for expenses will go down, and we won't refinance it, but we would be able to pull out a little bit more money if we wanted to.
Nice, man. I love it. So that's because most people are thinking about building liquidity by shrinking. And you're the inverse. You're building liquidity by growing. So you buy an asset, fix it up, increase the value, and then take the money out of it. Versus, what I talked about at the beginning is you can generate liquidity by selling an asset, but you can only sell so many assets, right? So on your side, the way that you're going, you can continue to expand the portfolio at the same time by building liquidity.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's how I continue to grow liquidity. I look for assets where I can boost the NOI up, figure out how to buy it, no money out of pocket. That means like before I've borrowed money off of 0% interest credit cards to get into the position where I could do deals.
Hmm.
Maybe not the best long-term solution, but it is a solution. I
Right,
brought in capital partners, borrowed expensive money. I I've moved notes around, like substitution of collateral, like, hey, let's pick this note up and move it over here.
right.
There's so many ways to do it, but I look for assets where I can boost that NOI and then rip money out. Andy, who's in the comments, just put in an offer on a deal where it's it's gonna be like we pretty conservative bumps, but it would allow him to do the burr,
Right,
right? Without giving anything away on the deal specifically, because it's not under contract. But that would be a deal where figure out how to buy with other people's money, rip the money out, pay off the other people, own the asset with a little bit of extra cash. There are people who try and conserve what they got, and there's people that will try and pull money out of things they don't got. And I prefer to do that one.
right. Is that Andy, the California wine guide?
Greenleaf REI.
Oh, Green. Oh, Andy, yeah. Right. Yeah, we talked, gosh, probably 3 months ago now. I connected with him. It's
Yeah,
funny, like over time you meet all these people and you remember their handle, but not their first name or their nickname.
yeah. Yeah, he actually funded part of Ellensburg, which is why he said that Ellensburg deal sounds nice.
Oh, that's funny. Sweet,
Yeah,
man.
so I'm excited, but you gotta find ways to generate liquidity. I'm doing a deal right now, no money out of pocket, bank first, seller finance second, and I believe within a year thereabouts, we should be able to rip out about 4 to 550 of net liquidity out of the deal above cost basis and still have a 7-figure equity position. So it's like you can
Nice.
find stuff like that on the MLS. All the
Yeah.
deals I've been buying lately, the last few have all been on the MLS.
Oh man, I love it. You're inspiring me to get off this call and immediately go to the MLS, look at stuff that's been sitting there for 90 days plus, or even longer, or even canceled listings that are large multifamily. Because the most of the stuff that I'm doing today is not commercial. The All the stuff you're talking about really only happens on the commercial side, because it's based on the NOI, not on comparable,
You can
single.
do it on, yeah, you can do it on residential. I bought a triplex on the MLS for 250, and a year later I got a loan on it for 272 without really doing a whole lot.
Yeah,
It's not like I ripped out hundreds of thousands of dollars, but if you net like 15 grand at close and you got nothing invested, 15 grand tax free, tax
deferred.
favored, right? Like that doesn't suck.
Right. And for the people who are newer that are listening to this, it's like sometimes you have to do these original smaller deals, one to learn, but two to start building up that cash. So Cody, actually, I think you started, the first one was a little bit smaller, but then now it's all bigger. But you know, if you start out doing a couple of these small ones, it'll grow over time to where you start getting into these commercial ones.
Yeah, and you don't have to rip the money out right away. Like I have a deal where I haven't pulled money out and it is right at 50% leverage. It was my first ever purchase. I have not pulled money out.
Hmm.
If I wanted to, I'll pull out 400 grand.
Right.
But uh, that is not like it's just not in the cards for that deal right now. I'd rather keep it where it's at. So you can set yourself up for future liquidity events. You don't have to tap them the very first second that you can.
Right. Yeah. I mean, while you're waiting, it's building liquidity on the cash flow. versus taking the money now and then having that higher payment and decreasing the monthly cash flow after that. So it's a trade-off on what you're trying to do. If you can generate more money with it than it just sitting there, yes. But I don't know about you. You're probably in the same boat. It's like you have that one that's just a steady eddy, consistent cash flow. Let's just leave that there. And then these other ones you can other chess pieces that you can move around um, to build to take some liquidity out.
Yeah. All righty. Well, you got to get to it.
All right, man. It was good catching up. I'll see you next Wednesday.
Absolutely.